Thank you, Garrett. Thank you to everyone who's here. It was a great pleasure to share the film with you today. There are two main inspirations for this film. The first one is one day I discovered this village, and it's called Saint-Tropez. And this village has touched my heart forever, for many reasons. When I discovered the village, I was only in my 20s, and I felt first what really struck me was this natural light. It's a light like nowhere ever, and the south of France is really beautiful for those of you who've been there. In Saint-Tropez, there's just something special. There's just something in the air, because in the 60s, there are so many artists from all over the world, like Brigitte Bardot, Françoise Sagan, the Beatles. Everyone would go there, and so I can feel that in the air somehow. And so the thing is, things are changing, and Saint-Tropez is changing too. And Tropézians are really put a lot of heart so that the village doesn't change so much, but I thought it was urgent to pay tribute to this village, and especially in its 60s form. When all those artists, there was no internet, it was the beginning of television, and artists would just go there just to find inspiration. And even Brigitte Bardot would be with you in restaurants, she would serve you. It was a very specific time. And I can still feel this in the village today, so I really wanted the audience to enjoy this. The second inspiration, it's something more personal, but I think many of us, especially artists, feel that, is this need to have a voice. This way, I mean, I don't know about you, I realized I was far from the only one to feel like this. When you open the news in the morning, because you read the newspapers, or just because you're opening your phone and it's just here in your face, all this news and this world that is turning crazy. There were many news at the time, before I wrote the script, that made me want to have a voice, and made me want to have a voice for all people who are struggling, to make this movie about support and about artists who at least try to bring change.
Yeah, and it seemed like throughout the film, you know, for the first at least 2/3 of the film, there's no guarantee that anything's going to happen. And you can see these main characters about like, why go on? You know, there's someone, you can get state jobs, you gotta eat, you know, you gotta live, you gotta thrive, you wanna enjoy the now, and it's like all this, you know, this struggle for them to just like find a relationship, find love, while they're just struggling out in this world and the unknown. I think it's really powerful when you got that across, that it's like, it's that pursuit and enjoying the now, and it's like, we probably won't have success. We probably won't, this play might not work out, but it's just, let's pursue something original. And I think that's just like so powerful. And I appreciate it. I mean, you talked about this locations, beautiful film. The location really sells it. I mean, so you said tell us about the place though. Tell us about filming at this location. You know, so you said you've been here before?
Yes, absolutely. All the locations, there are about 35 locations in the film, and they were all my #1 choice. I thought it was really important, so thank you so much for mentioning that, because I wanted the audience to be able to live the 60s. Not only Saint-Tropez, but also Ramatuelle, Paris, even Los Angeles. I wanted them to be there. I wanted them to feel like how it is. And it's something that's never been done before on the big screen, seeing Saint-Tropez, Ramatuelle in the 60s with these artists. And so we film in the most amazing places, and talking about locations, it was really important for me to pay tribute to cities, to the cities and villages. We are the last film that has ever shot around Notre Dame Cathedral, the last drama film in its 19th century form before the April events. And it was a very, as you can see in the film, it's also a tribute to the cities and to the cathedral, so it was really moving for us to film there. And it's also a tribute to the French patrimoine, I guess, and all those locations. But even Notre Dame Cathedral is not eternal. Nothing is eternal. Maybe love, maybe the love for cinema and supporting each other. So this is why this film is a tribute to all those.
Yeah, it does definitely. Obviously, you never knew what was going to happen eventually at the cathedral, but to see it, you know, you're just like, wow, you know, preserve this film, you know, so appreciate for that. I do have a personal question. Who are the musicians in the film, those characters?
Thank you so much for asking, because music is really important in the film, because as we said, there are many artists, obviously also from the music world, singers, and also musicians that came to Saint-Tropez at the time. So I actually rebuilt a band, a British band, and the musicians are actually those that you can see in the film, the actors, except for the voice.
Yeah.
David Ashburn is the singer in the film, and he has this incredible voice, very special, very unsatisfied.
I agree.
So the music is really important. This is why we were so thankful I could license those titles that are brilliant. Chuck Berry, Jimmy Reed. I can't be satisfied that you can hear the very last song was performed by the Stones. They are just wonderful titles because you cannot rebuild Saint-Tropez in the 60s without dancing and without music. So
yeah, that's great. I think it's really good point that you brought up the music. It's just like, is that original score for this? I know some of those songs.
They are all covers.
Wow, really?
So that's again a tribute. However, when I rebuilt the band, we recorded in a studio, so that was a very exciting time, and it was very important for me also that we recorded the music before even filming, so that we could really use the music when filming. It was really important for me.
Yeah, and it also just adds that layer of your voice. You know, if it's just like a random song, you pay a bit of fat check, it sounds personal. You know, because obviously it's a whole point. The whole point of the film is these people who are nobodies in society, don't make it in the big industries, finding, you know, each other and, you know, put the pursuit of success and whatnot. So for you to do the covers too, these young artists are getting attention, and also it's like, you know, you get to build it from the ground up. You know, you're taking these songs. So that was really cool. How much of yourself do you see in this protagonist? How much of yourself have you put into this character, or is this a completely new perspective for you?
You mean for the characters? Do I identify with them?
For the main protagonist.
Yes.
The one you play.
Like, do I feel like them a little bit? Or?
Yeah, like like how much of you is in them?
Yes, I mean, I think sometimes I'm a bit like Angèle or Sébastien or, you know, John, because I thought those characters are really important because they are the tributes to those artists at the time. And I think, yes, they're definitely, I'm a bit the three of them at the same time because, well, Angèle, first to talk about Angèle, she is a tribute to all actresses, and I would say even to all females in this industry. Because not only behind the camera, because I've directed, I acted, I wrote, but also in this film, she really embodies the woman who lives in the 60s and who's very ambitious, but who's really stuck in this era, which means that she plays in front of theaters night after night. She doesn't succeed, but no one really cares. If she doesn't succeed, it's okay. But really, it's not okay because females should succeed like anyone else. So I think it was an important tribute also because at the time in the 60s, well, there were a lot of things that were done for women to change. It's an important era for that. So obviously that's an important character. And Sébastien in the film is also an important character because he really embodies that anger for a world that just doesn't suit us, or at least when I wrote the script, that doesn't suit me. And I realized for many people this world in many ways just is not enough and that we deserve more. And so Sébastien really represents this anger to really bring change. I also like the band because the band they're different characters, which means that they're really into the art, and as you say, you've got to, okay, let's change the world, but how? And the film really is about that. We know the stories of the artists that really brought change, like the Beatles. And at the time, they did so many sacrifices, like in Jacksonville in the 60s, when they refused to perform in front of a segregated audience. They really did something really big, not only for the US, but also for the world. And we can say, yeah, they were famous, but at the time, everyone thought it was probably just a band for the summer, but they wouldn't be that big. And so this is why this film is a tribute to them, but also to all artists who try. Because there are so many artists, so many people who try to bring change that we never hear of. And we still feel that anger, and sometimes we are brave enough to try, and sometimes we're not. So Sébastien is that character that really also represents that anger, and I think it's Sébastien and Angèle is finding and supporting each other, and also, well, being complementary of each other is really important. This is, I think, one of the messages of the film is that if you want to bring change, you can't do it by yourself. And I really like also that the film really represents this journey, all those sacrifices you make, but also all those questions, because sometimes, even if you're working on the film, there are probably many people here who are in the industry, you can work with someone and think, oh my God, this person is amazing. and the day after you think, oh, maybe he's not a genius, maybe he's just crazy.
Yeah.
And it's all about choices, and so the film really is about those choices. It's about the journey of someone who wants to bring change, but it's really hard.
It's especially easy to get discouraged in this industry. And one line I think that really speaks to these aspiring artists is when she's like, I don't care if we have 30 angry people in crazy debt, you know, I will still be happy. And it's like, you know, it's not the, you know, how high the peak you stand on, you know, but it's that pursuit, and it's like staying true to your values. And you can see that in this film, you know, and I think that's really awesome. I think it's a good time. Unless there's anything else you want to say to open up to the audience. What do you think?
I was wondering, for those in you who are filmmakers, could you identify to the characters? Yeah, right. And for those who are not, like, doesn't anyone have lived Saint-Tropez in the 60s here? Does anyone know the village at all? Or, yeah, right? And for those who really don't know about Saint-Tropez, or who maybe are not even filmmaker, could you identify? Because really, it really can identify to anyone. So.
Any comments or questions from the audience? What you said or anything in general? Yeah, let's start here and go back, so you can just shout.
I just want to congratulate you. It's a really beautiful film.
Thank you so much.
And you know, it also has a really strong feeling of the old French cinema. The narration, yes. The story, the line, the relationship. And certainly Saint-Tropez now looks really great, and I'm sure you will get a lot of visitors to Saint-Tropez.
Thank you so much. It really is a magical village and magical people.
Yeah, I'm sold.
Who else? Let's go right here.
Logistic question and acting question. Logistically, how easy was it for you to secure those filming locations? And for your guys, when you for the acting side, did it help you guys being in those locations to put yourself in the mentality for the role and the time period?
That's a good question.
That's an excellent question. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, first, a tribute to my mom, Pattie, who's our production coordinator, and Sébastien, my character.
Hey, Mom!
The thing is, filming in 35 locations, it's a huge challenge, especially for an indie film. It really is crazy. So for instance, I made sure to secure, because I'm very lucky, I got all my #1 locations, and all of us put so much heart into the film. So it was really important that we were secure. So at first, I hired a company that is specialized in safety, so that we would be driven everywhere, because it was really important. And also because your second question is really linked to your first one, because of course, I mean, what I'm very thankful for is that true, I directed, I acted, I wrote, okay, fine, but what I'm very thankful for are two things, and it's exactly the answers to your question. First, yes, it's really challenging to film in 35 locations, but everyone opened me their doors. They opened me their doors. There is no compromise that was made on location. All the locations, there is no location that dropped, which happens in the indie filmmaking, like all of them. They were just all incredible, whether it was in Paris or Saint-Tropez, like all the places you see in the film, they're all like myths. The theater at the end is the theater of Saint-Tropez, where they shot God Created Women. And I'm so thankful because I wanted to share with the audience the joy of the 60s. It's a film about changing the world, but the 60s, when you were in Saint-Tropez, you would be so happy. You would dance, you would listen to music. So I wanted people to enjoy that through the very best locations, because the locations are like a character in the film. So I'm very thankful because with Saint-Tropez, Raw Material, Paris opening me their doors, I ended up, I realized after post that I felt like one of those artists, because in the 60s, Saint-Tropez would welcome every artist and help them with their inspiration. I realized I was becoming one of them. But what I wanted first was to share that with the audience, so that was, for me, it's something I never hoped for, but I will never forget. It's just an immense privilege. I think many of us felt like this. And the second thing was that what I'm very thankful for is that you're right. Really, we rehearsed a lot before the film, but even during the filming, we rehearsed still on locations because it was really important to be ready, and also we couldn't stop because all those locations are just incredible. And what I really feel thankful for is that I wanted the audience to really feel like it was in the 60s, but even myself, when, for instance, when I saw the train coming to me, I can tell you, even if I wrote the story, even if I directed, acted, I saw all the props in advance, everything. I just felt like I was there. It just felt so real. So, unfortunately, I'm too young to have lived in the 60s, but thanks to this film, I feel like I have a bit. And for that, I'm immensely grateful. So thank you so much for your questions.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? All right, right there. Set the hand up.
What were the challenges that came with acting as well as directing at the same time? And did you have a strong team around you that helped you?
Thank you so much for asking. Yes, absolutely. I have the most amazing team, and also I want to thank Kevin, who's in the audience, and who's been my teacher for 12 years for acting, and was also coaches on the film. And yes, it was really important. I think the answer to this is that obviously directing and acting at the same time is a really big challenge, and I'm very thankful I was supported by this amazing team and a great education. But also it was backed by a lot of preparation. So for instance, we heard so much, the dancing, everything was ready. Also in terms of directing, I had this huge shortlist that was very detailed, so that I wasn't worried about talking to my DP or making sure of the shots, because everything was discussed in advance. And even for the acting, we knew when to stand, we knew when to sit, we knew what you could do. So basically when we arrived on D-Day, it was very fast. It was very, we wouldn't lose a minute. For sure, I was backed by an excellent team, but also there was some challenges, because even with that, for instance, about 2 days before the filming in Saint-Tropez, I lost my voice, because as a director I would speak to everyone, locations, everyone. So you can see it in the BTS, 3 days before filming, we were in the theater rehearsing, and I would talk with Sébastien, but whispering, and it was very, very challenging, but it was just very exciting. I'll definitely do it again. The next film I was hired for as a director, I'm ending up having the lead too. And it's just an amazing challenge, because you end up being able to really impact the filming in both directions, meaning that sometimes as a director you can say, oh, maybe think about this, or if you're also acting, you can do something in the scene that kind of surprises. So you can play with that a little bit, but it's a great challenge. Thank you for asking.
That's a good question. Let's take one more. Okay, right here.
How intentional was your use of color? Because one of the things that struck me is how colorful it is, and the shots seem so iconic. So did you really plan it, or was it kind of more organic?
Wes Anderson over here.
Oh, thank you so much. Those are all such amazing questions. Thank you so much for asking it, because it's exactly what it is about. It's true. It's first, I'm very sensitive to music, but also to light, and especially this light in Saint-Tropez has moved me forever. And so heads up really to my color grader in the UK too, and all my camera team obviously, because yes, it was something that was thought through, and I can tell you all that you can see in the film, all is true. It really looks like this. We just revealed the color. We didn't recolor or anything. It's just because I fell in love with this light so much. I wanted the audience to feel that impact, because it's just like nowhere else in the world. Like even in some other places in south of France that are really beautiful, this is so special. And so you can see it through the colors. And so the colors in the film, it was something we discussed a lot. In fact, before we really discussed a lot about how we would make the light really special. It's also somehow a tribute to the new wave, because in the new wave you would also use those natural lights. Like there is a scene you can see when Sébastien and Angèle are in the garden, and Angèle lies about her phone call. Well, it was that moment, that golden hour, where we could only have one close-up each on set and because the light would be exactly at this peak, where it's just very moving. And so all the colors you can see in the film, most of it is due to light, and so we only revealed it. It just is very true. And I think, thank you so much for mentioning, because I think this is why it's so moving, is that it's somehow natural. So this is why it's so special. So thank you so much for asking.
Yeah, well, guys, thank you so much. A big hand for Jenna. It was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for coming, and have a great rest of your day.